the Antichrist will be able to do. No man can buy or sell unless except he has the name, the number of the name of the beast, the number of his name, or the mark. Now the thing is that no one could, to restrict anyone from being able to buy or sell, you have to wipe out everything except barter. And the only way to do that would be to have a cashless society. And so it's interesting that for the first time in history it's possible. What I find very interesting about this is that the book of Revelation rests the Antichrist government on three pillars. There's a global economy, a global government, and a global religious system. And then all of the other things in some way feed into this. I did a study on it once, and they all began at exactly the same point in history. All of this started in 1948. The World Trade Organization was born out of the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trades, which was signed by the UN in 1948. The revived Roman Empire grew out of the Benelux Treaty, which was signed in Amsterdam in 1948. The World Council of Churches came into being in 1948. The transistor was invented in 1948, which gave birth to the computer age, which gave birth to the global economy, et cetera, et cetera. It's really an astonishing study. I'm running out of breath.
Well, get it all out, because we may be raptured real soon. We want this information.
I talk so fast, people say, why you do that? Just in case.
You never know what twinkling of an eye it may be. Well, let's shift the thought a second here. You just talked about the revived Roman Empire. Do you believe the Antichrist will be coming out of the revived Roman Empire, and why?
I believe that, well, the only real evidence that we have that points to the Roman Empire is Daniel 9:27. And it says, Prince of the people that shall come and destroy the city and the sanctuary. And the people that came to destroy the city and the sanctuary in AD 70 were the Romans under Titus, who later became an emperor. And so I think that's probably where the argument about political Rome comes from. The argument about religious Rome is generally based in Revelation 17, the Babylon, the whore of Revelation. And so I'm not necessarily convinced the Antichrist comes out of the Roman Empire, but the Roman Empire does play a major role. When it says he's a prince of the Roman Empire, and it all depends on the meaning of the word prince.
Mm-hmm. And the Roman Empire did a split, had an east-west split.
Exactly, and it became, there's a Roman political empire, there's a Roman spiritual empire. They both exist, So I'm afraid to get too dogmatic on it, although I think it's pretty interesting.
Do you believe the Antichrist could be a Muslim?
Yes.
Okay, and for what reasons?
Because there's nothing in the Bible that says he can't be. I know that sounds kind of trite, but a lot of times, we get so fixated on the things that we've always been told we're going to be that, we don't look to see what other possibilities the Bible either lets in or fails to rule out. I don't know if that makes sense the way I said it or not. It's there's a lot of rethinking going on right now.
Well, yeah, I have here an article from David Reagan, and he suggests that Islam is going to decline and find its final end probably early into the tribulation, and he sequences events like Psalm 83 followed by Ezekiel 38. Now, these are prophecies that are involving 19 member populations at least, two different sequential events that are predominantly Islamic, that want to destroy Israel, that are going to be defeated. Psalm 83 defeated by the Israeli Defense Forces, more than likely, and Ezekiel 38 defeated by God himself in Ezekiel 39, 1 through 6. And then he goes on to talk about, in the tribulation, the fourth horseman, the pale horse, will kill one-fourth of humanity, and that he believes that'll be early in the tribulation. And he goes on and talks about the sixth trumpet judgment, I believe, in Revelation 9, that another third will be killed, and he's putting a total of about 3 billion people in those two last time judgments in the tribulation, saying a lot of those will be Muslims. Now, what are your thoughts about, because indeed if these things happen, if Psalm 83 gets defeated and Ezekiel 38 gets defeated, it will deal a blow to Islam, although not all Muslims are in those 19 populations. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, first let me say that I don't believe the Antichrist. When I say could he be a Muslim, I'm not talking about religious. I'm talking about, in the sense of someone being of that background, because I don't believe that the Antichrist believes in any god. He says in Daniel that he magnifies himself above every god.
Right, and in Daniel 11 says he won't worship the God of his fathers.
And the God his fathers knew not, which I think is interesting.
Right, which, if he's a Muslim, yeah. he puts himself up against all in that scenario.
Yeah, and so let's see if I can explain this so it makes sense. It's much easier to write than it is to talk. The Antichrist, whoever he might be, is going to have to be acceptable to all three, and so he's going to have to be in some way acceptable to Islam, which means he's going to have to be a little bit more Islamic than Barack Obama is. Not much, but a bit more. He's going to have to be acceptable to Israel, and all he's got to do that is agree to make peace. And for him to be acceptable to Christianity, all that's necessary is for the rapture to take place. Because there'll be a lot of people that think they're Christians that are left behind.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I didn't want to. It's not that I think that the Antichrist is going to ride to power as a Muslim, and that the Muslims are going to, the Muslims are the religion of false prophet or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying.
Got it. Yeah. Right. You're just suggesting the possibility that he could be a Muslim. I mean, he could be a Roman Empire. Some people even think he could be a Jew.
Sure. He has to be. He has to be acceptable to everyone, and for that reason, I think his being a Jew is the least likely possibility.
Right.
But for him, just look at the way we have embraced Barack Obama, largely because he's black and he has ties to Islam, and so therefore we can we can kill two birds with one stone. We can assuage liberal white guilt, and we can also assuage this whole idea that we're at war with Islam. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, that's difficult. I don't want to come off like I'm racist or something. I'm certainly not. But to argue that they don't play a role in an election is to have your head in the sand.
Right. Well, now since you're suggesting that we are living in the last generation, then would you suggest the Antichrist may be alive today?
I believe he is. I believe he has to be. I'm not really looking that much at the Antichrist in the sense that